Hello and welcome to webinar number 2 in our ADAPT webinar series, introducing you to the basics to be able to get you started on your new ADAPT system. In this particular webinar, we're going to be looking at adding candidates. There's a couple of ways which we can do that, and once I've shown you those, I'll also take you on a tour of the candidate record. First of all, let us look at a way of manually adding a candidate. And this method may be suitable if you're working in an industry sector where CVs are maybe not the first thing people have, but you still want to be able to get people onto your system and perhaps record certain skills that they have. To do this, we'll go over to People on the left-hand side and select New Candidate. We now need to work through this window, making sure that we complete the red outlined boxes, which are mandatory fields, and also take note of these black files here that contain a list of things that we must choose from. You'll also notice on this page as well, we have search icons and a date field as well. All we need to do here is work through this particular screen. So I'm going to choose from my list here and then put in the person's first name. I can add a middle name if I wish to, but other than that, simply work through. If any duplicates exist on the system, this will be suggested to you in this way. We would then advise you perhaps go and search for that to see if this is the same person that you are trying to register. In this instance, I've simply made a mistake with the spelling, and if I go in and correct those, as you can see, that will also change that salutation as well. This is important because when we send emails out, it will pick the salutation to address that email to them. Address, as you can see here, is not mandatory, but of course very useful information that you'll need to record on each candidate. So simply add in the information that you have. Postcode is an important field, and you'll notice that when you put the postcode in and use your tab key to move to the next field, it will validate that postcode. Your postcodes need to be validated to be able to use the radius search function in searches. And I'll point this out in our searching webinar, which is number 4 of this series. You're not expected to fill in all fields, only ones that may be of use to you. A mandatory field we have here is the mobile number. And then here, send docs by. We do have an option to generate an email here to notify the person that they've been registered, and perhaps once that opens up in Outlook, you would like to request their certificates. Over on the right hand side, we can see that we can add gender and of course date of birth. When it comes to adding dates, you can use the previous day, today or next day, or go to the calendar to select the year that this person was born, and then select the month, finally clicking on the day, and that will insert the date. You have an option to add in their national insurance number, the source of where the candidate has come from, and the type of roles they're looking for. This person may be looking for temporary work primarily, so we can set the default to temporary but also include and create a permanent part to their record. If you're going to link any jobs or adverts, you need to have created those first and link them up from your system. You can also record their residency status, whether they're able to be contacted at work or if you're allowed to text message them from the system. Again, this will be if you have that set up as part of your system with a text service provider. Nationality can also be added, as well as, at this stage, whether they are AWR exempt or not. Sometimes limited companies or self-employed people are AWR exempt, and by completing this here, when you place them in a job, it will pull that information through. Once you're satisfied with the information that you put in there, you can create the candidate by clicking Confirm in the bottom left-hand corner. This will then take us to the record of the person with what we've created in there. So let's have a look through the record. In this top section here, you'll notice that we have the word profile, that's looking at this page. We also have access to other pages via the drop down next to that word. Lots of very useful pages, and we're looking at the temporary part of their record, which you can see over here in the top right. Temporary and their permanent part. Some of the pages are slightly different. In the permanent record, you will not have things such as payroll, AWR, shifts, or availability. But they're very useful pages within here, as we can record availability of candidates or when they're not available. We can look at the shifts that they've booked in to do. We can also look at activity, employment history, any AWR clocks that are running, and of course, if you're using the facility, you can add in their pay details. Another useful page may be the compliance page, where you can record things such as their ID checks, other types of check they may require to work in the field that you supply staff to, as well as references and any assessments that you may do. We also have a contact page to change information about contacting them, and very useful journal which gives a history of everything that's happened with this particular candidate. There's also a document library for uploading certificates and perhaps a copy of their CV once they send that to you. To upload documents to the document library, simply click on the paperclip. Select the folder that you wish to upload the document to. For instance, it may be in the compliance folder, the identity documents, or in this case, I'm just going to go and upload a CV that I've saved to my computer that's received from them. Highlight the folder, click on Add Document. This will give you a list of the types of document that you can upload. Move forward to step 2 to browse your computer for that particular information. Find the folder where the CV has been saved, and then double click to select and then upload the document to that person's record. And that's the same process for adding any document to their record. Once complete, you can go back to the profile page and you will now see their CV in view here. Within our activity drop-down, you can see there's many in here that you would like to have a look through. Some that I want to point out are search LinkedIn and Google the person. And within general, your ability to add role. This will add another type of candidate part to their record. At the moment, as you see on the top right there, we have temporary and permanent. If I needed to add or remove one of those, I can click Add Role, change the default perhaps, tick on another section to create that another part of their record. Confirm will then add that in, or indeed remove if you've unchecked a box there. But what's really key in our record that we have available are these icons, quick activities that you can do. For instance, log a phone call. We can do that from the record. We can select our call type. Canvas call here is used for sales calls. I'm going to select call made. If they have more than one number, I can select the number. I can then link up other records to this call. If I'm ringing them about a particular job, I would put in the job title, find that in the system, and link that up to here. That will then not only record this call in the candidate record, but also in the job record. I can create reminders. I can set those up by clicking Set Alarm, putting in the date and the call time. Again, this is very useful for your sales calls. Any notes about the call can be added in the Journal Notes box here. So this initial call that I'm making, click Confirm to record that, is about gaining some more information that I need from them. I can click on the Edit button over here on the right-hand side and then be able to enter more information that I speak to them about. Perhaps when their availability, what their notice period is, perhaps for their permanent roles, what their minimum salary would be, and for temporary, what their minimum rate would be. Further down, you'll see that I've got permission to set with regards to sending texts out. I can add in work contact details, and once I've found them on LinkedIn, pick up the URL address of their homepage and paste that in there. That will then give me access to that from my system. I can add in skills, job categories and industry sectors here. To do that, click in the next available box and either start typing once you know your code list, or go to the black file here to go to your list of skills that you may have in your system. Job categories are added in exactly the same way. There's also a free text notes field. Which you can use for adding things about the candidate, or indeed perhaps where you feel they're suitable to work. This field is searchable in searches. Down the bottom you'll also see a list of all their recent assignments. Once you've changed information on this page, you can click Save to save those changes. So we've made our call, we've recorded that information. You can also add further journal notes, which will appear in this communication history box. You can send out emails. Simply click on here, choose the template that you wish, even set a follow-up date. By clicking Confirm, this will then start the system to choose the correct template, and by clicking OK, that will start the process using your Adapt desktop agent to set up that and open that email in your Outlook. This blank email will pop up. You can change the subject. Clicking into your email will mean that you can type whatever you like in here. This is Outlook, so you can attach whatever file you wish and do all of your normal Outlook things. Once you click Send, that email will then be sent from your Outlook, but the benefit of starting the process from your Adapt system is it will all be tagged back to the person's record straight away. So you don't have to do any further admin with that. The email that you sent is recorded, and you'll see that by refreshing the screen in their communication history here. Don't forget, access to the full journal to see a copy of the email that you sent is via the Pages drop down and clicking on Journal. Other icons, we have our Sending CV Out and Spec, organising an internal interview. So this is when they're coming in to see you, or you can organise it for a colleague. You are able to generate an email here with the details of the location they need to go and the date and time. That will also book out your calendar in Adapt and Outlook. So no having to do duplication there of admin work. We have the option to long list or shortlist them against a job, quick book them, or add them to an existing search result, perhaps a hot list of candidates that we have, or people that are most suitable for a certain role that you're looking for. So lots of great options within here that you can do. Another way to add a candidate is with a CV that they've sent you. To start this process, go over to My Adapt and CV Import. This will take us into a CV import area where you may see some CVs that haven't yet been put into your system, like so. To bring new ones into this page, to quality check them and put in data that's required before entering them into your system. I'm going to click Upload and then select the type of candidates that I'm going to bring in. In this instance, I'm going to select permanent, but you could choose any of those options there. I then have the choice of selecting from a folder, which is a simple click, and look to add files from a shared folder or CV folder that you've created. Simply double click to view that and then click Upload to have that start. The main way that this is used though is when a candidate has sent you a CV via email, and for that we're going to use Mailbox. When we click on Mailbox, you'll notice this then links to our Outlook. The Adapt Desktop agent also opens this box here. You do not want to click anything at the moment. What you do want to do is leave this box open. Don't close it, don't OK, don't click cancel, because at the moment it says there is an email selected in Outlook, but we have no idea what that email is. So the first thing to do now, as I say, leave that box open, but go to our Outlook to select the emails that we wish to bring in the CVs from. Once in your Outlook, you'll notice that currently this has the email highlighted here, so that would parse that. But that one's already been done. What I want to do is pick up these two new CVs that I've received, and I can use my Control key to highlight more than one. I don't need to open the email, I don't need to open the CV, simply highlight them like so. In the box now, you'll notice it says there are two emails selected in Outlook for import, and it's going to parse the attachments. Once I click OK, that will begin that parse. I can then return to my Adapt system, whilst it indeed does parse those two documents. Now, parsing means that it will look at the coding that you have in your system and then word match to the CV. So an effective code list will save you a lot of time here when it comes to getting your candidate records full of great information. And we can see that both of those CVs have now been parsed. The next step is to quality check the information. To do that, I can click on the grey part, and as you can see, that then shows me the CV. I can then go through the information looking at each section, which is handily color-coded. And we can also see some boxes highlighted in red, which means that is mandatory information. The reason why these first name, last name, email, home and telephone number, that's mobile number, are mandatory. That also forms part of a duplicate checking process that we have. Any of those three match, it will suggest a possible duplicate on the system for us. So we can avoid creating them if we need to. It's picked up the name, great. Status is registration incomplete. All new candidates get allocated that status automatically. Source, it's great to know where your candidates come from, so you can have your list here, the ones that are relevant to you. Once you of course know that list, you can just directly type in. The address here, as you can see, has been picked up nicely. Any errors or changes you need to make, you can simply click into the fields and overtype. You can also, as we get to the contact area here, if it hasn't picked up a number, you can click and highlight and drag that into the appropriate box. The blue section looks at skills. If anything is needed to be added, you can simply click into the next field available and type in the appropriate one that we have. You can also search through code lists like so. If nothing comes up, you don't have that in your list. These can be added by an appropriately trained person at your business or the client services team. To remove code, simply click an X to remove it. It's very quick and easy to get an accurate and effective code list. The next section we're looking at is our work history, and you can see it's picked up the job title, the client, the start, and it has put an end date here in date 2. This person is still working there, so make sure you remove the date 2, change past to current, and that will then put that in the current employment section as opposed to the past. Others, you can do a quick scout over for quality there as well. Down the bottom, you can see it's picked up certain job categories, and you can add in industry sectors as well should you wish to. Once you've completed the quality check on that particular CV, you can simply move to the next one by using the up and down arrows, or indeed once you're finished with those, click close. Once you've done this a few times, you'll find it very quick and easy to move through the records and check the information that you need to record. I can't stress enough how important it is to have a quality start to your candidate's record on the system. Failure to get this right could mean that they don't come up in searches, or they're not easily found on the system, or up-to-date information isn't there, so they won't be used. But I've now quality checked those two. You'll see that the two that I've done are now status of modified, and then I can tick both of those and import them or create records in my system now. Clicking on import will start that process, and as you can see, that's now creating those particular records, and that has done. To find those new candidates, I can go to My Adapt and Home, where I'll see my import results are listed here. I can now go to those particular candidates' record by clicking on the number of results and then click on a person's name to enter their record, where, as before, I can log calls to them, send emails, put them against relevant jobs or a search list, and of course use edit to add in further information during my call to them. The benefit of using CV import is, as you can see, skills and job categories are automatically added, as well as their CV. Don't forget that different pages in the record are accessible via the drop down here. and other activities accessible via the activities list. And those are the ways that you can add candidates to your system. This has been the second of our series of 6 webinars in the Adapt webinar series. Thank you for listening.